It's time to dive into the world of microcomputers with the C64 Collection. Let's go. What's going on, everyone? It's Rich Haywood here from Bacon Ice Cream Productions and Team RTFC, welcoming you to yet another episode of Good Times with Retro Rich and Fun for Five. Well, we are back to Collection Fun for Fives, as this one has 14 games on it, so it's not time enough to do 5 minutes per game. We'd be here for an hour. We're going to dive right here into the C64 Collection. Just a little bit of preface before we hop right in. Very similar to those when we did the Intellivision collections. These are not necessarily for me rose-tinted glasses, although I did have access to a C64 growing up over at my uncle's house. I played a whole bunch of stuff, a lot of weird games that I'll probably never see a collection, because there's a lot of homebrews and hacks and all sorts of cool stuff. Kind of makes the C64 community like kind of what it is. Like a lot of people love those like independent, I made a game and then they pass it around to their friends kind of thing, which is neat. I'd love to see, don't get me wrong, I'd love to see that stuff, but a lot of that stuff is in that gray area, you know what I mean? Like, what was that game? There was a game that was like, it was like Super Mario, but it wasn't Super Mario. It was like, what the heck is the name of that? Guyana Sisters, I think what it was. Whatever. Someone's, again, down in the comments, they're going to go, oh, Rich, it was this game. But there was a lot of that going on, and it's awesome. That's so cool that it was, because people were just doing what they could back in the days. But anyway, so a lot of these games, again, are going to be, okay, these are great, but there's probably a lot of other games that are like it, shooters and action RPGs and all that kind of stuff that will play better on other collections. However, this is the lens into the past. If you never saw anything like this and you wanted to see the history of like how did they get the ideas for some of these other games? Well, a lot of those games came from this era, right? And not so much as, I don't know, probably someone's gonna yell at me, not as impactful for me is this area, the microcomputer era, as it was the Atari and Intellivision era, because that's really what I grew up with. And as I was growing up, there were more things to play. I was able to go over to my friend's house to play Nintendo and Super Nintendo and all that kind of stuff. So the C64, Atari ST, like those microcomputer things were like in that miasma of like, oh, I'd play because it was there. And then I wouldn't like hunt down stuff or look for more information about it. But they were cool. But it's very neat now to be able to have these collections and go, oh, okay, well, these guys are picking like their favorites. So let me see how they roll. And that's kind of how I'm judging my picks today on this collection. So C64 Collection on the Evercade, microcomputers are happening. We're going to play it on the VS right now. So let's get into it. All right, cool. So here we are in the C64 Collection after a very weird transition thing. OBS has been acting all sorts of weird, so when we do the next thing, it's probably, I'm not even going to do it, I guess. So anyway, let's start off with Alley Cat. Alley Cat is a cool little shooter. It's I want to say it's like, when I play this, I can think of like Zaxxon and like other like faster like top-down scrolling shooters. This one is cool. I can definitely like see where this game is going. And even my kids liked it, actually. But I don't think I could give this a full pick. And the reason why is because when you just jump in without having to do any information seeking or reading the instruction manual or seeing anything like that, you would think that this is an easy game to get into, but there are things that you have to learn about what you have to do on the racing column or whatever it is, that you got to learn before you play. And it's a bummer because it's like, this is one of those things where you want this game to be just pick up and play and go. But there are some things you're going to have to learn about in order to play. But I do encourage you to do that, because once you do, it actually winds up being really fun. However, it's those gateways, to the fun that I kind of like, all right, I'm going to hold back on giving full picks to those kind of things, because if I go, oh yeah, it's super fun as long as you do this and this and this and this to get to the fun, and it's just not some of those people that are watching this video might go, well, that's too much work, and I don't want to do it. So there you go, half pick for Alley Cat. Battle Valley. This one's really kind of cool. Interesting, an interesting control scheme, I will say. But it does kind of like, it does kind of give you like a dual, like you can ride around in a tank, you ride around in a helicopter. It's not necessarily like Defender-ish, but it's like if you think about Defender, and it's like, well, what if you were like only on the ground, or when you got into the helicopter, you weren't like this super awesome, flying starship. You were just like a helicopter, and you get to like blow everything up and do all this kind of stuff and get a high score. Then I guess maybe this game is kind of like that. I think it's really neat. I think it's worth your time to check out if you're into shoot 'em ups. If you're not, or interesting shoot 'em ups, I should say, alternative shoot 'em ups, maybe. But if you're not into those things, and all right, maybe this one gets a pass. For me though, I think, you know what? I'm gonna give it a full pick because it is kind of easy to get into, but the caveat is you just have to remember, like, play around with the controls a little bit, just to get used to it. But the controls are there, and it is pick up and playable, so you can just go and go in one direction or the other, hit buttons, and figure it out. So it is worth your time and checking out Battle Valley. So that one gets a full pick for me. Gateway to Apshai. I've played this one in various forms, as it was not only on the C64 but on a whole bunch of other things. This is a cool game. It's pretty neat. It's an action RPG. It's a dungeon crawler. It gets a full pick for me because if you put action RPG or RPG or anything that's SRPG, you put all that in a mix, it's probably going to be a Rich's pick, just off the bat, unless it's like completely crazy. Talking maybe a little bit about some Renovation Collection RPGs. Anyway, this is cool, and it's worth your time, and it's a kind of like a cool piece of action RPG history. Check it out, play it. Gateway to Apshai gets a full pick. Impossible Mission is a cool game. It's going to get a half pick for me, and the reason why is because this reminds me so much of another cool game called Zillion. I just couldn't get it out of my head that Zillion is, I think it plays better. I think it is a little bit easier to understand, and it's a lot easier to control. This is a cool game that has one of those, and I want to say it's actually maybe even some of the same development teams that worked on this game that worked on games like Prince of Persia and that kind of thing, because it has that kind of motion. It's almost like stop animation where the character looks like they're actually running because somebody like was trying to draw patterns for the person to run. And then when you jump, they like jump like almost like a somersault jump over things, which is neat, but you got to really, really hone in on it. And if you don't like that kind of control, or you're not good at that kind of control like me, then you might have a frustrating time playing this game. So it's cool. It's worth your time to check out, but I'm only going to give it a half pick because, I have to be really in the mood to play this one. So Impossible Mission, half pick. Then we got Idris OC by Jeff Minter. We were actually just talking about Jeff Minter yesterday on the Newsline, as he's just about to put out a new game, Aka R, for the Atari VCS and everything else under the sun. So it's like a new remake of a prototype machine that never came out in like 83 or something like that. So anyway, this one's here is a shoot 'em up. This one for me, it's so weird. I just don't know what to do with it. Like, it's gonna get a half pick for me, and I want to like it because it looks bonkers crazy. I just can't get my head around it. I just can't. Like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be doing. Like, there's the top screen and then the bottom screen and then all sorts of weird stuff. Oh, hey, I just noticed too. There's that little horn guy in there. I guess that's the llama guy. Maybe that's like a character that's in all the games. I don't know much about Jeff Minter's work, but that guy actually looks really familiar because there's like an elongated horn guy in the trailer for the other game, for that AKR game. So who knows? Maybe they're just like referencing things. I don't know. Again, somebody down below can tell me. But anyway, Idris Alpha, half pick. It's crazy. If you're looking for a game that's like, well, what if somebody like was doing a shoot 'em up, but then just kind of like went off into their own dimension and try to make a game? This is that game. Well, even the dog, he's into it. I don't know. I don't know why he's wooing at me. Anyway, let's keep going to Jumpman, which gets a full pick. And I don't necessarily like platformer games. And I certainly don't like platformer games that have weird jumping mechanics. In a game that's called Jumpman, you should probably get like super awesome, very tight jumping mechanics. But this game is tight enough and easy enough to kind of get the hang of, where it makes it super fun. So I say, you know what, check out Jumpman. It's getting a full pick from me. And you know, and that's all about that. You know, it's a cool little piece of history too. I think I don't know, it's one of those games where the people that went on to make this went on to make other things too. Again, I could be wrong, but it was fun. It was a fun game. So Jumpman getting a full pick. We go on to Lee, which also gets a full pick. This game is super fun. You know, you're Lee or Bruce Lee jumping around from, you know, rooftop to rooftop, collecting all these things and getting a high score. And, you know, the enemies are popping out everywhere and you're doing jump kicks to the face and, you know, like you punch them and all that kind of stuff. It's cool. It controls well. It doesn't seem overwhelming. You're not like getting like hit on the one pixel and dying every 5 seconds. It's cool. I like it a lot. I think it's super worth your time to play, especially if you're into like the kind of like run around platformer dungeon, not dungeon, double dragon kind of like aesthetic. It's not necessarily like a beat 'em up. I mean, I guess it is. You do have a punch and you have a jump kick, so I guess you could do that. But it's more of an action game, really, than anything else. And I think it's really, really worth your time. And you know, it's super fun to play. So, man, he's really just going after me today, but I'm pushing through. So you can wait, doggy. I think he just hears me talking. He just wants to be in the room. All right, cool. We go to Marauder, which was a fun game for my son. My son really liked this one. And you know what? I'm going to give it a pick as well because it's cool. It's a little unique, like top-down action game where you're like in a like kind of like a buggy. It's like a desert tank buggy with a giant cannon, but you know, it's like kind of like a freewheeling, go anywhere, you know, shoot everything up and kind of like get some score kind of game. And it's neat. It's a neat game. It controls well, it plays well, and it's easy to jump in and have some fun. So Marauder's getting a full pick for me because I think it's cool, and I'm glad it's on this collection because I found there were also many other games on this collection, Wii and all those others. You know, it's just cool to kind of like go back and see these kind of things. So check out Marauder. It gets a full pick. Stormlord. It's another platform game. This one gets a half pick. I really want to like this one, and I really, really want to like this one. I think it's really cool. I think the aesthetic's cool. I think the sound is really awesome. I think the graphics are really, really, really cool. It's just one of those like games where the action is a little slow for me, and like in that slow platforming, you jumping. It's got the weird floaty thing going on. I don't know. It takes me out of the experience, I guess, of playing. So I can't necessarily like really lean in on it. But it's one of those games that I think people could like. You know, it don't take my half pick as a like don't play at all. Definitely check it out. And if it's not worth your time, then it's not worth your time. But I think this one, you know, is going to hit for some and not for others. And it was just one for me. So that's Stormlord, getting a half pick. We got Street Sports Baseball. Now this is another one of those games where if you could give me a easy way to hit the buttons to get to the game where I'm playing the game, and I don't have to do this whole thing where it's really neat. You know, you can pick your teams and you can do whatever, and you got the big screen and all the people are there. But if I have to play the game to manage everything and manage a team and do all that kind of stuff, and then get to the game, then I'm out of the experience and it's already a half pick. And then if it takes a long enough time for me to get to actually playing the game, so much so that I also almost don't want to play it anymore, then maybe it's teetering onto no pick territory. And where I'm going to land for right now is actually no pick, because it takes too long because you got to hit the button and you got to remember you got to go to this other menu and then you got to do this other thing, and then you're on the virtual keyboard and you're trying to do the other thing, and you're hitting so many buttons. You're like, I just want to play the game, and it just doesn't do it. And you're like, all right, I'm done. So, but for those that get through, is there an interesting sports game here? Yeah, it's cool. I mean, it's bright and colorful, and it's got some cool stuff to go on. And the controls are all right for this kind of age of baseball game. And I actually remember playing this on my uncle's C64 back at his house back in the day. So, I had some fun playing it. But this particular thing, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I don't want to have to sit and go through the manual to hit the things. Not anymore, anyway. I used to do that because that's how you had to play, right? Because you even had to know the commands to load and do all these things back in the day, right? So at least we have that. We don't have to have that to contend with. But even still, no pick here because it just, I don't know, maybe it just annoyed me. So there you go, Street Sports Baseball. Then we've got Subterranea, which is a cool shoot 'em up that kind of reminds me of an R-type kind of thing. But I'm only giving it a half pick, and the reason why is because it is one of those games that is immediately difficult for people that aren't into shoot 'em ups, because you have to do things right away before you just die to make sure that you're playing the game. There's barriers that you have to shoot. You have to shoot them at a large enough distance away and know that they're coming before you get up on them, because if you don't, then you're gonna get caught by them, and you can get caught by a half pixel and then you die. So it's another one of those things where it's it's kind of annoying, and I really wish that there was another way of getting around them, but just kind of for me it just hits that oh no, that's the annoying button, and you hit it. So I really want to like the game, but you have to, there's a barrier to entry, so I give it a half pick. So there you go. So Subterranea getting a half pick, but it is cool. It looks cool, and the even the sounds are pretty cool too. So there's that. Then we get to, I'm going to do them both at the same time, summer and winter games. These are childhood favorites for me. All right, they both automatically get a pick. I don't care. People are gonna be like, no man, summer games is junk, it's trash, it's whatever. And then there are other people are gonna be like, oh, winter games, that's the one that's trash, whatever. Don't care. They're both getting full picks. Why? Because I played the wheels off of both of these on a gray and green screen on my Atari, not my Atari, my Apple IIe clone when we finally got one in the house. I played these to death, both of them. I prefer winter games over summer games. So if you force me to pick one to play, I'm playing winter games over summer games. But they are both cool. I both like them, and I can't take the rose-tinted glasses off enough for these titles. They're both getting a pick. Now, if you're not into sports titles, then it's probably a no pick for you. And if you are moderately into sports titles, I would suggest playing winter games over summer games. However, they have to get picks for me. So winter and summer games getting picks for me, because yes. And then we get to the Movie Monster game, which is an awesome, cool little out of nowhere game where you get to ride around. Well, not ride around, but you're playing these giant monsters, and you're doing various things. You have to go around and do as much damage as possible to a city, or you have to or you have to leave before the good guys get you, or any of this other stuff. There's all sorts of different things you can do while playing as these movie monsters, like Godzilla and all this other kind of stuff. So it's really cool. It's got a lot of cool character to it. It's got a lot of cool, just aesthetic or feel. And I totally think that this one's worth your time, and it totally gets a pick. So as we were getting through this collection, as kind of my determination on whether or not I don't know, I guess the fun was found, even though I don't do that for these particular collections outside of the duels. is the collection worth your time? Like, well, the collection's worth your time for me to recommend it to somebody if I can find more picks than non-picks, and this one clearly does have that going for it. There are a lot of half picks, but as far as like Gateway to Apshai, Battle Valley, Lee, Marauder, Summer and Winter Games, and Movie Monster, and Jumpman, we're getting over the hump, right? You're getting over that 7 games that have full picks. So that's or at least tying it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, so we're over. So that one I can say, like, this collection totally worth your time to check out, at least in my opinion. So let's go to the wrap up and just talk a little bit more about this and get this thing going. All right, and there we are. We got the classic just fade today because, I don't know, just kick OBS in the face over here. These updates just killing me. So, C64 Collection, done, in the books. As are every other one of the collections, I believe, in there. I'm going to do some research. Because I don't know if I held off on Television 1 because I wanted to do in Television 1 and in Television 2. And I know that, for Renovation, I did like the weird half picks because I didn't like actually get into them and play them. And I think I did the same thing with maybe Gremlin as well. So maybe there's some revisits that we can do, in the next week or two. But as far as the current stuff goes, we have reached C64. So that's cart number 1 in the blue. And we are at cart 27 in the regular collections and cart 6 in the arcades. So we're going to get some more in. More are coming also, by the way. Of course, the EXP, for those of you that are getting the regular edition, is on the way. And you guys should have that by next week. Maybe there'll be another one that'll appear because I don't know if I can wait. I'm not positive, but that might be a thing. Because I was one of the limited edition customers that was affected by the delay. But it happens. Again, we're going to be talking about that some more on the Evercast. So don't forget to check that out. Come and check us out tonight, too. If you're catching this on Thursday, it's 12/8, and it's before 9 p.m. EST. And you're like, maybe there's some more action. Check us out on Karg. Calling All Retro Gamers. It's another channel. Links down below in the description. Come on and hang out with me and Ed. And we're going to be talking about all sorts of crazy stuff. So come on over, check us out, 9 p.m. EST. Don't miss it. All right. That's it. That's all I got for you. So let me know down below what you guys think of C64 Collection. And thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for being a part of this like cool little community we got going on. I love talking to you guys. I love answering all these, all the comments. It's really cool. And you guys have been just annihilating the comment section lately, especially on those news articles. I'm still getting comments now, and I'm like, it's like hard for me to keep up, but keep them coming because I will absolutely read and reply to just about every single one of those things that's coming in, unless you're a bot, and then you get deleted. Anyway, all right, until next time, we will catch you next time for some good times. I'm Rich, and we will see you later. Take it easy, guys.
RTFC.baconicecream.com